Hi guys, and welcome back to Double the Reaction. If you don't know who we are, I'm Matt. This is Molly. She is currently editing, so she can't hear us. So we can pretty much say what we want about her right now. No, we'll be nice. But we are full-time travel vloggers, hence the hotel room, new surrounding, under the travel channel, Dabble and Travel. Make sure you go and check that out. We are back full-time travel vlogging. We are currently in Tirana, the capital of Albania, and we're hoping to travel for as long as possible during these hard COVID coronavirus times. It is not the easiest. We've made it here. We've made it to Tirana, amazing city. So check out some of our travel vlogs at the start of Tirana, and maybe follow us through our journey. We're going to be doing a lot of land borders. Yeah, probably some coronavirus tests. But we're still reacting to your recommendations. The and more has sort of gone at the moment because we can't really cook. We should have an apartment soon, so there might be some cooking videos. But we are again reacting to one of your recommendations. Actually, they're not on the phone because we're traveling and Molly's on the laptop. And that is how Britain stole 45 trillion from India with trains. I didn't know anything. I'm not going to even read the context or read more about it. I just want to watch the video and find out a little bit more, because I thought of the trains in India, or the train tracks anyway, were built in the, I don't know. We'll get into the video. 45 trillion, how, that's too much money.
Liberal idea that while colonialism wasn't great, at least Britain gave
So we're going
India
back to the colonial times,
and maybe that's
okay.
something they should be thankful for. After all, trains are pretty useful, especially in the 7th largest country on earth.
They are, the trains are, I do like the trains in India.
That bad. Unfortunately, Britain also stole $45 trillion
How?
from India, all the while exploiting religious divisions between the Hindu and Muslim communities and further turning them against each other. And those beloved railways, they became the sites of mass slaughter while Britain sat back and watched. Empires of Dirt, a show about Europeans getting rich at the expense of everyone else.
Why India shouldn't thank Britain for their trains. I thought they should. I thought that was the thing. So I suppose I'm learning something new.
India through the East India Company, which had its headquarters right here on Leadenhall Street. A private company owned by London stockholders, the East India Company grew over the next 300 years to become a quasi-governmental body with its own army and laws responsible for trading spices, cotton, silk and tea all over the world.
Okay.
By 1858, ownership of the East India Company had been transferred to Queen Victoria after the failed Indian rebellion.
Right.
Trains
So much history going on here.
British engineers. The East India Company would use railways to transport exploited resources like cotton and coal more efficiently around India.
Yep.
And it worked. Between 1853 and 1924, a railway network was created to help.
It's a very good railway network, though, I must say.
And it's not like we gave India the railways either, by the way. We made India pay for them, and we ripped them off in the process. Despite Indian mechanics having their own efficient, chic designs, Britain made India buy trains from them.
Okay, so it's a much more expensive.
1947, over 14,000 locomotives were imported from the UK.
How do you import that
India.
many trains?
Initially, Indians weren't even allowed to work on the trains. They were staffed entirely by white people, from the board directors to the ticket collectors. The railways made little profit.
Good job it's not like that today.
Shareholders who invested in its construction made vast returns, guaranteed at the expense of Indian taxpayers who had to pay for it.
So you don't know this context.
Railways were basically like someone burgling your house, building a ramp to wheel all your stuff out, sending you a bill for that ramp, and expecting a round of applause at the end of it. Now that the railways were built, Britain could get down to the task at hand, squeezing India for every last ounce of profit. They were really good at it. In the 1600s, when the East India Company was established, Britain accounted for less than 2% of the world's GDP, while India accounted for almost a quarter of it. By the 18th century, Britain had become one of the most powerful empires in the world, while the prosperity of the Mughal Empire was fading fast. Britain relentlessly squeezed India for every last bit of resource for its own uses. In 1943, up to 4 million Bengalis starved to death, partly because their food was diverted towards British soldiers during World War II. Winston Churchill said the famine was their own fault for breeding like rabbits. After it was no longer profitable to remain in India, and after receiving huge pressure from the Indian independence movement, the British finally left in 1947. Before they went, they split the country into two: Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan, in an act that became known as partition. But in their haste to get out of the country, British diplomats
I suppose it's a hard one with the two countries by making the border there. Was it a good thing? Because if it was still all one, would there be even more conflict than there is today? I think there's arguments for both, rather than saying it was a bad thing.
After partition, millions of Muslims trekked to Pakistan and what is now known as Bangladesh, while Indians and Sikhs headed the other way. Violence between Pakistan and India ensued. Within a year of the British leaving, 15 million people were displaced, and between 1 and 2 million people were dead. Trains became the sites for mass murder during the migration. Trains filled with refugees crossing the border on each side were stopped, and everyone on board was murdered. Women were
That's the problem with this. Would this happen more if the border wasn't there now? So if the border was never created, would there still be a lot more conflict?
Drivers, so they could transport their trains full of dead bodies to the final destination. The British knew about the train massacres, but they'd already washed their hands clean of India. Prime Minister Clement Attlee, writing to Lord Mountbatten, the last Viceroy of India in 1947, said, "Keep India united if you can. If not, save something from the wreck. In any case, get Britain out." Despite all this, the 4 million staff death, the careless partition, the $45 trillion they stole from the Indian people. Many don't think that the British did anything wrong in India. A YouGov poll in 2014 found that 59%
I think there's context for both, isn't there?
Thought the British Empire was something to be proud of, and only 19% were ashamed of its misdeeds.
Yeah, so I think that 45 trillion is crazy. It's money that shouldn't have been taken out of India. Of course, the border with Pakistan, I don't know where to stand, that it would, in the long run, was it a good thing? What's your point of view? I don't know too much about it going into it, but if the border wasn't there, would there still be a lot more conflict than there is today, even though there is still conflict between India and Pakistan? If there wasn't a border and it was still all one, would the conflict be even higher? I do not know. I think as well, going back into colonial times and in the past, there's obviously going to be positives and negatives. I think sometimes things like Vice just hang on to all the negatives rather than focusing on some of the positives. But the trains, 45 trillion, that 45 trillion needs to be given back. Let's say that 45 trillion needs to be given back. But the trains in India are incredible. Hard video, didn't know too much about that. But yeah, keep asking for that 45 trillion back, because it's just a crazy amount of money. It really is. But thank you for that recommendation. Keep your recommendations coming. Let me know your opinion. It's a bit of a confusing one. I think all countries have a past that can be, there's positives and negatives as all countries past. But yeah, hard video to react to, but thank you for that recommendation. Keep your recommendations coming. And if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe, drop us a like, and keep on dabbling.